Greetings and welcome to this special edition of UC Weekly News being posted on a Tuesday. Normally we do these on Mondays, but
this must be Tuesday. It's San Diego. It must be Tuesday.
We couldn't wait. We're here at Webex 1. If you can see any of the logos, and you saw as we came in, we're at Webex 1. And we have some interesting breaking news that we want to discuss and an exclusive interview that we're going to post talking about it. And the news is...
that the Webex devices, the Room OS operating system, will soon be supporting Microsoft MDEP.
MDEP, the version of Android that they run in a container, which is now Android 13, for their new devices going forward, they've announced will be Microsoft's version of AOSP called MDEP.
Let me say that again, because this was something that was completely impossible, maybe, 1-2 years ago? But, MDEP didn't even exist that long, but Microsoft, Cisco working together, MDEP.
You never would have thought of
Microsoft Android. It's like, where are we? What is going on here? But yes, Cisco is embracing Microsoft Android. Microsoft is embracing Google Android. It's called MDEP, and this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so we had an exclusive interview with Juha Kuosmanen, I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name wrong, from Microsoft, and Rich Bays from Cisco. Let's play that for you, and then we'll come back and tell you some of our thoughts about this. So we are back, and we have two very special guests. I'm going to try very hard to not butcher their names as I pronounce them. Dave Michels is here with me. And our
you did a good job pronouncing that.
Okay, yeah, that one wasn't hard. And our two guests are Juha Kuosmanen and Rich Bays. So before we start, Juha, why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do and who you are in the industry.
Hello, everybody. So Juha Kuosmanen, as said, working for Microsoft and more specifically MDEP, Microsoft Device Ecosystem Platform. I'm heading both the product and engineering for MDEP.
Terrific. And Rich, I want you to introduce yourself as well and tell everybody what you do, but we owe you congratulations because your role and title just changed.
Thank you, David. So yeah, my name is Rich Bays. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management at Cisco Collaboration Devices, looking after the hardware, software, and the control hub for device or workplace orchestration business at Cisco.
Terrific. That's hard to fit on a business card.
It's a very long title.
Okay. We're having a conversation because Cisco has just made an announcement on stage that Cisco's iteration of Microsoft Teams is going to be based on MDEP going forward, which is a significant announcement for Cisco and a significant announcement for Microsoft as well. So Juha, I can do this, but I want you to. What is MDEP? Quickly.
MDEP, Microsoft Device Ecosystem Platform, is fundamentally Microsoft's Android distribution, having enterprise-grade security, manageability, and deep integration to Microsoft services.
And with the Cisco announcement, there aren't that many companies that are running Android versions of Microsoft Teams that aren't on MDEP at this point. There's very few left, correct?
That's correct. So we have a quite significant number of partners currently, and looking 12 months forward, I think that the ecosystem overall is going to get more and more standardized.
Okay. So Rich, why Cisco do this? Why adopt Microsoft Teams at all, if you're Cisco and Webex, and why MDEP, and does this align with your history and your strategy?
Yeah, so Cisco's had a track record of being an open ecosystem platform. Back in the SIP days, we supported, SIP inter protocol to how we can connect into on-prem and hybrid meetings. But we've been doing Microsoft Teams Room now for almost 3 years, and we see a lot of success and momentum in that space. Customers who want to standardize on Microsoft ecosystem flows, we want to support them and make sure they can have the best experience possible with the best hardware experience. So doing MDEP and partnering with Juha and the team, I think it's a big step for us because we want to make sure that we can accelerate velocity of bringing Microsoft workflows to our devices and to the workspaces. And I think the partnership with Microsoft will allow us to double down and enhance that and make sure we're using our resources across both sides of Microsoft and Cisco in the right way, focusing on the right things to bring customer value.
This is a pretty big announcement and pretty exciting for both companies, I think. But I'm a little confused. I need a little help here. I think this goes to you, Rich. You at Webex 1 have announced Room OS 26, which is a pretty big deal for Cisco and your new operating system. And MDEP is an operating system. So can you get your story straight here? What's going on?
Yeah, so we are quite unique in this industry, right? We have RoomOS 26, which is RoomOS platform, and it is a Linux-based operating system we have had for many years, like 10 plus years in the industry. And for us, MDEP is a critical component of that now. It's a way to make sure that we can bring those Microsoft workflows into RoomOS, because RoomOS powers a lot more than that. It powers, enterprise-grade network security, ThousandEyes agents, it powers Control Hub, Workspace Analytics, Cisco Spaces. So the way I kind of look at it is that, if you like a car, for example, the engine and, how we're running it, and it's like an infotainment system that runs over workloads, like Microsoft, and MDEP is a key part to RoomOS moving forward.
So what was it like working with MDEP with the NVIDIA chipset, which I know is something you haven't done before, or really any of the chipsets? I'm assuming there was some complication in that process.
Well, actually, the process has been fairly straightforward. The collaboration with the Cisco team has been amazing, and the Cisco NVIDIA implementation is a little bit unique, first one that we have done in a such way. So NVIDIA actually doesn't support Android natively. So the MDEP is run in a container when we are building an implementation, and this is kind of what Rich also referred. Then MDEP being kind of a core part of the RoomOS as such. So we don't run on top of NVIDIA directly, but then there's actually a RoomOS Linux implementation on top of it, which is the fundamental interface to the hardware platform. And then the MDEP is running in a container inside the RoomOS.
So one of the issues that has come up around MDEP is gatekeeper accessibility. The idea is, if I become a hardware manufacturer, can I run MDEP? Do I have to do anything special? Or are you limiting it to any number of people? How does that work, Juha?
Well, we're not limiting MDEP in any way. So when the OEM partners then want to join the Microsoft device ecosystem platform, we obviously do kind of a normal due diligence and make partnership agreements with those partners. Then which kind of provide a sort of a terms and conditions, then how the two companies are collaborating together, then what are the mandatory components from MDEP that has to be used, and at the same time defining what sort of a support then MDEP is promising to provide these OEM and ODM partners for both for the integration as well as then the long-term support and so forth. But there are no any kind of a specific requirements that you need to fulfill to become a partner for MDEP.
So one thing that we've touched on before, Juha, is that MDEP is really part of Microsoft. It's a Microsoft operating system, not Teams. We've talked about that distinction before, that MDEP is separate from Teams. Now, this announcement that Cisco is making is really with MDEP, not with Teams, but it's kind of for Teams. You're going to be running Teams, and so does this announcement open up different opportunities for Cisco and RoomOS and these devices beyond Teams?
Well, I don't know if it's any different than what's happened in the past. So we've been trying to kind of be very clear on that you should look at MDEP in a similar way as you look at Windows. I mean, we fundamentally are service agnostic. Obviously, then being we are part of Microsoft as Teams is, but then there are no specific components in MDEP that are unique then to any of the service providers. Then it's up for the OEMs then to decide what's their strategy then to utilize and integrate MDEP when they want to use it for Teams or whether they want to use that across all of their kind of services.
All right, so here are a couple of tough questions. One for you, Rich, and one for you, Juha, and we can go through them, but I'm prefacing them because I know that they're going to be a little difficult. So the practical result, Rich, of this announcement is that the next Teams compatible Cisco endpoint will be running on MDEP. What does that mean for all the endpoints that are out there now that are running Teams? Are they not going to get it? Are any of your existing portfolio not going to get it? Is this only for new devices going forward? What is that going to mean for all the people that have spent money already?
It's a great question, David. So I think let's break it up into kind of two folds. One is For future devices moving forward, we are going to bring them to market for Microsoft Teams rooms and certify them on the MDEP platform. So that's set in stone there for sure. Then let's look at the current infrastructure and the current devices we have out there. We'll be working with the MDEP team now for many months to look at how can we bring this solution to our architecture, our containerized architecture in the right way. If there's opportunities out there that we can bring this down to the current portfolio without disrupting any of the customers in the field. I think that's a key aspect. We don't want to cause, customers having to factory reset the device and they spend a lot of money on install services, etc. That disruption is not something we want. But at the same time, we want to bring benefits to customers where we can, as possible. So I think, we are not ready yet to disclose, what devices that they will be running on today. But, in the first half of 2026, in the first quarter of 2026, we will definitely discuss more details around that. But the door is open there. But obviously, we do want to make sure it makes sense for the customer as well. It's not just about how do we make MDEP and RimOS work together. It also needs to make sure that the customer gets value out of that as well. And just before I finish there, we just updated all our devices to Android 13 on the Cisco AOSP build, which is the first in the market to have Android 13 in that bucket. And that is something that we're going to continue doing. Those devices are certified for Microsoft Teams rooms until 2027 at a minimum. They'll be supported till 2029 at a minimum. But if we can continue upgrading Android on them and supporting them with further performance and security enhancements, we will be doing that regardless of this announcement. This is a parallel job to that announcement.
Well, it's just as the follow-up, just to give you the opportunity to address the inevitable FUD that's going to come out of the market. What makes your announcement any different than any one of the other MDEP partners that have said that, oh, yeah, we're on board, but they don't have a product anywhere in the next few years? They just said they're on board when they do.
Yeah, it's a fair comment, and I will say, for what makes us different is first of all, is RimOS 26. And just RimOS overall makes us different because we have this ability to tie this larger operating system and larger value prop, which I think will benefit not just Cisco in terms of the control hub and the customers, what they get in that value point from management and networking, but also I think will benefit Microsoft as well in terms of what we can provide data across into the Microsoft ecosystem through the MDEP platform, where we can have some uniqueness in that factor too. So I think there'll be some value there that we can bring.
I'm really curious about that, Rich. Let me ask you about that because another announcement you made at Webex One is this Workspace Advisor. So do the benefits of Workspace Advisor that you've described, this whole digital twinning and everything like that, does that apply to MDEP?
Yes. So that's a good example, Dave, right there, is the value we bring with Workspace Advisor is built in the Linux operating system. The agentic director is built in RimOS. So all those features are available to any component inside RimOS. And MDEP and Microsoft Teams Rooms is a component in that environment. So all that value and innovation we can make within RimOS is only shared across there. So that value stays and continues, and that allows us to bring innovation to the market in that way. Now, I think, David, just to end on your question there, you said about, yes, we haven't got anything in the market right now, and what makes us different in that environment. Something that we wanted to make sure when we made this announcement that we were in line of sight of kind of where we're at. We know in the first half of 26 that we're going to make some announcements around devices that will support MDEP, etc. And we wanted to make sure that us and the Microsoft team have done all the due diligence to make sure that we are in a position where we know we can deliver this. Cisco is in the business of delivering outcomes to our customers, and we feel very comfortable at this moment in time that we have line of sight and are on track working with Juha and the great team on the MDEP side.
So it's not just a paper announcement. You've actually got stuff on the roadmap that you've been testing and are close to ready to go.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So I promised you a difficult question. So the difficult question for you guys is the concept of telemetry, which we have heard from a number of other platforms and hardware manufacturers, that when you run MDEP, it sends a lot of information back to Microsoft. Now, I've heard a number of different aspects of that, and I'm really just asking you for your comment on the situation. One thing that I've heard is same thing happens when you load Windows 11. That Microsoft gets some telemetry from that, gets some information. That's not a big deal. The other part that I've heard is that, this has not been appropriately revealed to actual users. The truth of the matter is, while MDEP is really important to us, doesn't really have a lot of visibility in the user market right now. All they care about is it certified and is it secure, which MDEP is bringing. But what is the reaction of Microsoft when you have competitors and other platform manufacturers and eventually customers saying, I don't want this telemetry sent. How much is being sent? What's the control? What am I revealing? Am I being asked for permission? How do you deal with that issue?
Yeah, so it is a great question. And it's good to sort of clarify. So first of all, there's sort of a two tiers of telemetry that fundamentally MDEP incorporates. So the first one is then kind of a minimum level of a software health and platform health telemetry. This is a very, very small number of parameters. Then I'm top of my head somewhere around 10 to 15, fundamentally tracking whether the device is crashing, if there's any sort of a major interruptions happening for MDEP and the OS part only. And then in addition to that, we have a more sort of extended optional telemetry. But then this part of the telemetry can be turned off either by the OEMs or then by the IT admins. And we never collect any specific user data then in regarding to the services or regarding to the end users. This is purely then to monitor the health and availability of the OS layer. So that fundamentally then kind of should explain then a big part of then what you were asking.
So one question we get asked a lot, I guess this goes to Rich, is other environments. And so Cisco's made a pretty big announcement recently with the Zoom. And Zoom runs on your Android 13 today on Room OS. And so is the roadmap to have that running on MDEP as well, as having Zoom and other applications that may come in the future on MDEP?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dave. So our stance with this is when we're using an Android component on a product line, if it's MDEP and the other application, the third-party application, allows MDEP to be used as an application, we will then preference to use that. So we don't have to maintain two different Android loads on Room OS. Now, that's obviously subject to future discussions, etc., with different third parties. But right now with Zoom, we have had that discussion with Zoom and basically said if we were to do MDEP, obviously they're now finding out about this at this moment. Surprise! That we did ask them this question, and they do have an agreement with Microsoft on how MDEP can be used for Zoom, as far as I understand. And long as that still stands, then we plan to do that on the product lines that we do support MDEP, which is to be determined in the first half of this year. No, next year. Sorry.
How does I'm curious, how does Control Hub and MDEP how do they supplement each other? Is that something that's a plus? Is that a minus? Who's in charge? Where are the decisions being made?
I can jump in there. I think this relates more to the Teams Room application in particular and how that works with Control Hub. And I think one of the things that we've heard from customers out there is like, how do we share more data across between Cisco's Control Hub and like the workspace environment and Microsoft Teams environment when it comes to some of the health data, etc. And I believe, and this is my belief, that MDEP is going to be a step in that process to be able to help us share data more between the companies in the right way with the right processes. And I think that will only bring benefit to customers. I think it's about what platform do you want to be in, or what pane of glass do you want to be in to manage. 93% of our customers today use Control Hub with Microsoft Teams Rooms. That's a really, really big number. It shows how important Control Hub is from a management, but also from a workplace perspective. Yeah. And we would love to enhance that more with Microsoft data from the ecosystem. And if MDEP can allow that, or be a part of that journey, then that's only a positive to customers, because then we can create more value.
That's what I really like about this announcement, actually. It's really, we've been watching MDEP very closely and watching how other companies have been supporting it. And it's mostly just that. It's just kind of supporting it. But this is actually much more strategic for actually both companies. A big theme of Webex One is, what did you call it? Future-proof
Connected intelligence. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so, you're building this future-proof workspace, And Microsoft is also building a future-proofed workspace with MDEP, and it's all about the future, what they're doing. And together, it's like, you know, you've answered, you responded to the workspace advisor, what you're doing with NVIDIA and whatnot, that you're really, you know, you're really both working together to make a much stronger solution. I think this is really interesting. I asked Juha the question earlier. I want to go back to Rich now. Again, this is an agreement with Microsoft, not an agreement with Teams. And so far, the Webex devices has really been much more around Teams. Do you see opportunities for MDEP in additional use cases?
So I do in the future. I think, you know, one of the key aspects is, you know, AI is here to stay. It's a big part of everyone's life, and Copilot is also bigger than just Teams,
One of the big
and in
theme
that
of
regard as well.
Webex
So,
One. Yeah.
so I think if there's opportunities there on how we can leverage Copilot with MDEP in the future, and these are things that, you know, are, you know, discussions, right? And they're not things we're committing to on this call right now, but it's things that I think where if the customer can see where we're going. You know, Microsoft has a great ecosystem and what they're building within the Office and the 365 ecosystem and Azure, etc. We obviously have a big understanding of how networking, security, and physical workplaces work, and AI canvas in the future, etc. If there's ways that we agentic capabilities can cross boundaries between Microsoft and Cisco to create value for customers, and if MDEP is part of that, with our devices being part of that, I think both me and Juha will be very happy, but I think our customers will be super happy about that.
It really is amazing how, you know, we live in this world, but it's so amazing how rapidly this space is moving. I mean, it was 4 years ago, the idea of Microsoft and Cisco working together in video just was insane. We've gotten past that, and now MDEP didn't exist, and now MDEP is being embedded into Room OS. And now we're talking about Copilot. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on here. This is a much more vibrant ecosystem than I think many people realize.
So from Webex 1 just now, like RoomOS 26, I think is probably our biggest value add ever. Like, we didn't change the OS a lot in terms of the look and feel. Like 10 to 11 was a big paradigm shift, but RoomOS 26 was more of a value add. We added like these agentic, you know, capabilities with the agentic director, the agentic note taker. Inside of MDEP, with Microsoft Teams, we'll have the facilitator working in that mode. Like, so all these features, you know, really just added a lot of value that extended our devices beyond just video meetings. And I think that's what's really exciting. The innovation is moving so fast in this space, and we're very happy to be part of it. And we're not stopping here. This is just the start of a new era.
So you've explained the MDEP environment very well. So my question is, just for a point of clarification, is the Teams application that's running in a meeting on your Room OS device, where's that software coming from? Is that Microsoft or Cisco?
That's supplied by Microsoft. So Microsoft Teams business, they provide that software to us, and then we install that or embed that within our Room OS operating system.
All right, so let's wrap up the conversation on one last topic for both of you. I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go to you, Rich, so you get a little more time to think. But let's talk about the linchpin of MDEP as it's perceived in the market, which is security. Security is extremely important. One of the things that MDEP does is it aligns everybody on a single platform, so patches and updates can go. You know,
a Microsoft-backed security platform.
Microsoft-backed.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what went into securing Android, Juha, and then have you patched anything since it's been out there? I know 1 or 2 manufacturers have products out there. Is it something that you have people staying on top of? How important is security, and how is it working functionally?
Well, security, I would say that is clearly the number one topic for MDEP overall. So everything else, or any value that we are building is on top of security. So we are releasing security updates for MDEP on monthly basis. Then the OEMs take those batches and then update their own deliverables and services based on that. As you know, Microsoft has made a humongous investment in security, and an SFI, we have tens of thousands of people then on a daily basis then working on the security parts. So again, if I'm looking at the investment that we are doing for MDEP overall, I mean, security is a number one component of that.
So you have been pushing out patches on a
and
monthly
it's not
basis.
only MDEP, I mean, it's all the functions then across Microsoft who are then contributing to this work, all the different features, all the different services that we have. So it's anything from the hardware adaptation then to the OS layer to the services that we use and the cloud connectivity as well. So again, it's I couldn't highlight it more. It's definitely the most important part of.
So you have been pushing out patches to the people that are on MDEP today. It isn't the way it was released. There have been monthly updates.
No, they are monthly updates, and then we have a certain rules then for that our OEMs and partners are required to take those security updates as well and then push those to their OS releases.
Oh. Okay, great. So Rich, if I'm envisioning this correctly, it'll probably be a bad metaphor. It's like standing on Microsoft's shoulders here. You take all the security that they've created with MDEP and with the staying on top of everything, and then you pile on top of that the security focus on Cisco. Tell us a little bit about that, why that's important, why that's different, why it would be different running MDEP on a Cisco endpoint than it would be running MDEP on another manufacturer's endpoint.
I would almost say it's almost like two giants of security standing side by side with each other as well, because I think what Microsoft brings from an application security standpoint and what Cisco brings from a hardware and physical security standpoint and from a firmware level, together will really compound the security aspect. And obviously, I'm a big believer in security. At Webex One, I was doing a security talk and session, and so this is really core part of what we believe in. We believe security is not bolted on but built in. And so bringing MDEP into the scenario only bolsters that ability so that we have more security built in. We have been, known to support our devices in on-prem environments, in, restricted environments, across the world, and in government agencies, etc. And the thing that we strive ourselves on is that the device that we ship to every customer has the same bar of security. We don't lower the security bar depending on what sector you come from or what vertical you're in. We have the bar of security really high, and a good example is like we do on Android today. We've adopted the newest Android first, all the security patches. So when Juha mentions about having to adopt these patches, I think we'll be pushing Juha to bring us patches faster sometimes on this, because we want to make sure we answer our customers' concerns. Our customers trust Cisco. And by trusting Cisco, they have to trust Microsoft. And together, we need to make sure we can deliver a top experience, not just in the user experience, but also in the IT owner experience. Now, IT owner is the collab owner, it's the network owner, it's the security policy owner. All of them have a big part to play in the future of a workplace. So I think it's really important that we work together on that.
So, Dave, I'm going to ask you to change your hat for a second. I know you've been here helping me asking questions and dig this out, but switch and put on your analyst hat. And what's your opinion? Is this an important story? Is this something that's new, something different, or is this
I actually
just
think it's one of the
PR?
more interesting things coming out of Webex One, and it's actually really interesting. It's actually interesting for I'm surprised. I should have asked you this, David, because this is something I'm going to say something that I think you're thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's been so much focus on AI, and you've been writing a lot about this, and even at Webex One, just a ton of AI announcements. This is core infrastructure, and it's exciting. I mean, this is core operating systems, right? Operating systems on top of operating systems, and it's actually I think really interesting, intriguing, and exciting, and all those things, because it's just I see so many possibilities in how this is going to play out and how it could play out. So I'm pretty excited about this.
Terrific. Juha and Rich, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I know you stepped in, and we kind of recorded this a little early, so we'd have the information available when it was announced. It's an exciting announcement. Congratulations to you both. And Rich, congratulations on your new role. We'll be right back in a minute.
David, I have to say that was an excellent interview. You were great.
Well, I'm always great, but that was a pretty good opportunity to interview Microsoft and Cisco. And who'd have thought 5 years ago, Microsoft and Cisco on the same interview, holding hands, cats and dogs.
On the Google operating system.
Exactly, that Google operating system.
So what did you have any key takeaways that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, while I think the news is terrific, it's good for Microsoft, it's good for Cisco, and it's good for the industry,
Yep.
There's still a lot of technical question marks that need to be answered. One is, Cisco just moved their Room OS Android platform to Android 13, which is the latest one and the newest one. But the MDEP announcement is only going to be for new products going forward. So
They were a little vague about that. There was a little. It seems like there's some challenges in the MDEP that that can only be implemented when it's actually manufactured. So it's not clear what's going to happen with the installed base.
Yeah, and I don't think it's finalized at this point anyway. I know they've been working on it and they've proven it, but that's a big question mark because will there be two versions, all the Cisco endpoints bought up till now on one version and all the Cisco endpoints bought after a certain point when they announce some new products and new features they said around the start of the calendar
I love
year.
the way Cisco is treating the operating system as a shell or an operating system within an operating system on the Room OS. I think that's a pretty interesting characteristic of the Room OS architecture.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it also, again, it still raises the question, what will Google do? Because I don't think they're really willing to run on MDEP. What will other platform players do? That still leaves a few platform players out there that are not using the MDEP platform, that haven't signed on to it. What will Zoom do?
And that's an interesting thing. So let's just clarify for those that may not be following all of our videos, but MDEP is a version of Android that Microsoft is creating. And up until now, companies like Neat and Logi have been creating their own version of Android. And so this is effectively Microsoft standardizing that. So this is Microsoft's standard form of Android that companies like Cisco can just use and implement and not have to maintain that environment. Now, that raises a question. That means companies like Logi and Neat will have to maintain their Android development just for Zoom primarily. And so I'm wondering if it makes more sense for Zoom to do what Microsoft did and basically create their own version of Android, just like Microsoft did, and offer that to their partners so that they don't have to maintain all that cost of maintaining their own operating system.
We heard Juha talking about telemetry, and that's been one of the key issues that Zoom and some of the other platforms don't want their telemetry going over to Microsoft. And he clarified that it's really just technical and life. I think that there's an agreement there that's possible.
But when you talk about telemetry, it's that vague gray area between operating system and application.
Correct.
And that's why I think Zoom may have it in their best interest to control their own operating system. And how hard would it be? I mean, Microsoft did this in I don't know how many years, but it's obviously a lot of work behind it. I don't mean to belittle it, but Google makes the operating system available, and Neat and Logi have already and others have already created their own version of Android. Why wouldn't Zoom just do that? And then they could go to more hardware partners that haven't made that commitment.
Well, if you really want Zoom to do it, just say it's AI. Then Zoom will deliver it.
There's a lot of AI here too.
There's a lot of AI here too, but it's not only AI. So I think this is really important news. That's one of the reasons we wanted to get this out to you early as soon as we had heard about it and give you some of the nuances around it. We will come back with some more highlights from Webex 1 over the course of the next few days and repackage this. So when you watch it on Monday, it'll be different. You'll have to watch again. But for now,
I think they're serving pina coladas over there.
You think so?
Yeah.
We're going to head out to the pool party and see what's going on. But for now, for Talking Points, thanks for staying with us for the special edition, and we'll see you on the next one.